In this video, we're going to cover how to run an internal team meeting for your project site. This can be a tough subject because not a lot of people know the importance of the meeting or how to run it. In this video, we're going to give you some tips, so stay with us. All right, so why is an internal team meeting, why is a team meeting in general so important? How do you run it? What key things should you review? And when should you do it in the week as a part of your project meeting cycle? We're going to talk about all those today in this video. So I hope you enjoy the content. Let's go. So your team meeting is really to build that team. So let me level with you. If I'm a project manager or a super or a project director, whatever leadership or management position I'm in, if I can get the team in a meeting once a week, I can help build and shape culture. I can make sure that team is cohesive and doing well, and I can lead any size project because I have proximity, communication channels, and I am able to actually get the team rallied around a common culture. So the team meeting is like the most important thing for any leader anywhere in construction. So if you're in those positions, this is your jam. This is where we should spend our time. We've got to be here once a week at a minimum. I personally like to make sure that my team meeting cycle is ahead of other meetings. So there's typically a pattern that I like to use. I'll either do the team meeting on a Monday or a Tuesday early on in the week. I like it that way. We can make sure that we're ready for the rest of the week. Some people like Friday, but either way, it must be before the strategic planning and procurement meeting, your trade partner weekly tactical, and any of your foreman huddles, meaning that you scale information from your team meeting to your strategic, to your trade partners, and then that allows you to schedule your daily recurring cycle of the foreman huddle, worker huddle, foreman huddle, worker huddle. So this scales the information all the way to the people in the field, the workers and the foremen. The key requirements for this meeting are simple. You must have a nice space with proximity. I wouldn't recommend doing this on Zoom or Microsoft Teams all the time. If you have to, fine. Let's make sure that everybody's on, camera on, ready to engage with something in the backdrop like a whiteboard or like Miro or mural, something where you can draw and have everybody visualize what you're talking about. At a minimum, a team meeting agenda. But preferably, I like to have a conference room area that's inviting, that is nice, has the visuals, a whiteboard, screens, so that you can really interact and have a tactile environment where everybody understands and sees as a group. And I also like to have a little bit of fun. Put some candy in there, make sure that you got some Christmas lights at the holiday season. Halloween, I'm gonna wanna see some orange and some purple and some green. You know, 4th of July, maybe some red, white, and blue, right? Have this interaction space, a place where people want to come. I highly recommend the snacks. So those are the requirements, is that you have an agenda and you have a nice space to hold the meeting. And if you do so, you can follow these steps. All right, so I do want to give you something that is just crucial. Any manager, any team, any project director, I highly recommend you read 4 key books, and I'll list them right now. The Motive, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, Death by Meeting, which is probably the most important for this one right here, and The Advantage. These 4 books, all by Patrick Lencioni, all from the Table Group, will really make sure that you are set up to win and that you know the system of building a team. Now, if you read those books, you will also have some key tools that will help you to build your team. There's something called the personal histories exercise. There is a team assessment that you can take. There are really cool tools that from those books you can implement in this meeting, so that has to be a consideration when you're going to set up your team meetings. Now I'll give you a little bit of bonus content, and I want to pause for just a second. If it takes you 3 weeks to 3 months to perfect this meeting, so be it. Not a problem. I have never started a recurring meeting and had it taken any less than 3 weeks to make it remarkable. So you do the meeting, you follow the agenda, and at the end you do the plus delta where you ask everybody what met the purpose of this meeting, what could we improve, and then you will start to run that meeting better and make it more applicable to the people, and it will become what you want it to become. You have to give yourself the time and be patient with yourself to get these meetings right. So let's talk about the main purpose. The main purpose of this meeting is to build the team. The main purpose of this meeting is to build culture, which is the common beliefs and actions of a social group. And the third main purpose of this meeting is to come up with a plan and get aligned to where that team and that culture can be effective. So it's the team, it's connection, it's culture, and it's coordination so that that team knows what it's doing that week at a minimum. So let's go ahead and go through the agenda items right now, and if you need to pause at any time, no big deal. And if you ever have any questions, text me at 1-602-571-8987 and I'll help you out with the answer. Number one is the lightning round. And I read this in Death by Meeting. It is fantastic. Yes, you have a standard meeting template, 100%. But you also want to make sure that anyone in that team has their needs brought up and added to that agenda for that day so that it is applicable to them. So what you'll do is you'll go through each person and say you got 30 seconds or max 60 seconds. What's a quick update on your tasks and what do you need to bring up? Then go to the next person, and the person leading the meeting will pull in those key items to the agenda so it fits within the time limit. Okay, so I'm going to take you through what to do once you have your lightning round. So I've got 5 steps here specifically from Patrick Lencioni's guide. You can look up the meeting agenda template from the table group on the website at any time. Okay, so I've listed this out here, 1 to 6. Number 1, lightning round. Number 2, scoreboard. This is where if you have any KPIs you want to measure on the project, you make sure that's a part of your agenda on item number 2. Number 3, tactical items. This is your normal agenda and anything you pull in from your lightning round. Number 4, if these tactical items are what you discuss on a weekly basis, if there's ever any major activities that must be brought to a monthly strategic, a larger meeting, those go here. Then after the meeting is concluded, what are your decisions? What are the cascading messages that go out to the rest of the team, the company, or the group? So this is how you begin. First, spend your time going through the lightning round, and then the leader of the meeting will say, okay, how do these fit into our normal agenda and in what order? When you do it like that, then you can make sure that you have time to cover all the key items in that meeting and still meet your deadline and not run over. And if you do, you know that you're okay because they're prioritized by most important to least important or most urgent to least urgent. Now, once you have that lightning round and the leader is creating the agenda for that meeting and merging it in with standard items, you can then do a review of your scoreboard and then get right in and cover each topic one by one with your team. If there's any of these that need to be sidebarred or moved to a larger meeting, meaning with different people, or it's a breakout, or it's just too large of a topic for us to cover in this meeting, you move them over here into number 4, the strategic topics for a later date. Once you're done with this meeting, any decisions that were made from here are listed down here at the bottom, and any of these decisions, if they need to be communicated, will immediately be messaged out in a briefing, in a meeting, in an email, in a message, or some other way. So if you follow this basic pattern, this is from Death by Meeting, from the table group. I will also say there's a similar pattern in Gino Wickman's Entrepreneurial Operating System in the book Traction, but either way, it's very focused, it's very on point, on time, and decisions are cascaded to the rest of the company so that everyone is on the same page. All right, so I'm going to close out with some really key items that must be covered in a construction project internal team meeting. And before I do that, I do want to say, if you want this further content, if you want to see how these other meetings are actually implemented and used and the purpose of them, please like and subscribe to this channel. But let me close out really strong by saying, in every project team meeting, you will, as your tactical items, want to cover PTO. Who's taking PTO and who is going to cover for that person while they're on PTO. Number 2, who has any specific coverage needs for that week, even if they're not on PTO? Maybe someone needs to take a little bit of time off for a doctor's appointment, or go coach a basketball game, or go on date night. Whatever it is, take time to really go through and make sure there's coverage every day for opening the job, closing the job, and covering key meetings. And in fact, on the elevateconstructionist.com website, you can actually find a template, and I'll put in the description below as well, a link to a team coverage schedule. These are the first things you do on every construction project. The next thing you do is you talk about the health of the team. This is where you'll want to bring in those team building exercises, the personal histories exercise. Go around and make sure that you are practicing positive compliments, giving each other healthy feedback, doing a team assessment, maybe doing a fun game. You will immediately want to make sure that you're taking the time to shape that culture and build that team. In the description below, I will also put some really neat resources for you that you can consider when you hit that agenda point on your meeting. And lastly, in construction, I want to say 2 things. You will want to talk about the customer experience. You'll want to ask, what can we do to sell our next job now on this project? How can we create raving fans? And there's a second item that ties right into that, and that is your quality system. I will also link you to a blog post to that in the description below, but here's what I want to say. The most important thing, in addition to safety and team health, that you will discuss in that team meeting is your quality process. Are all of your trade partners going through that quality process at the right times? Are we preparing for pre-mobilization meetings? Are we preparing for pre-construction meetings? Are we preparing for our mock-ups, our initial inspections? And to close out those contractors, managing those scopes and knowing who's on first, who's up to bat, who's second. We need to make sure that we know exactly these things, and we need to know where each trade partner is as a part of your quality process. Yes, you'll have other things like a scheduled discussion. Yes, you will, after this meeting, go into your procurement. Yes, you'll have other topics as a part of your agenda, but I have never seen a team in construction do well unless they discussed PTO, coverage, the owner experience, built the team, and made sure to make their quality process a main part of that team meeting. And so I will say that when you're done and you've covered all of the items, please make sure you get your decisions and your cascading messages out there, that everything is clearly written down. It's on your boards, it's on your schedule, it's on your quality map. Whatever you have as a visual deliverable, make sure those are updated, that you have meeting minutes finalized, and that anything that is needed for the next meetings, like your Trade Partner Weekly Tactical, are completely up to date and ready to go, so that you can use them and everyone's on the same page for the week. And here's some encouragement for those of you who are leading this meeting. I want you to get in there and I want you to open it up strong. I want you to have a single purpose. I want you to be disciplined and really kind of entertain the people as you go. They should want to come to this meeting and have a little bit of fun. There should be a really good purpose for this meeting, and everyone should feel like it's a good use of their time. So avoid a boring introduction. Avoid too many topics and having what we call meeting stew. And definitely get in there and have some healthy conflict and have some real good, in-depth, difficult conversations when you need to have those conversations. And the last thing is close with a plus delta. What, as a part of this meeting, met the purpose, what did not, and improve every single time. But be patient with yourself. It can take 3 weeks to 3 months to really get these meetings going well. I hope you've enjoyed this. On we go.